Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you've been well. It's been a long time since we've been here in the old studio. Most of my videos are outside these days, but this weekend the weather has been horrible, so I kind of transitioned to this other video I've been meaning to do about this guy right here, the Apple Watch Ultra. I do have a case and a different non-Apple Watch Ultra band on here. I'll probably talk more about that later. I don't know, but the reason for this video is because I showed it in a video and asked if you guys wanted to see it, and a lot of you guys said you did. And also, recently I have a buddy, Talon Sai. I kind of convinced him to get one of these, and he bought one like the next day. Another buddy, Taylor Martin from Best Damn EDC, I kind of convinced him to get one, and then he bought one as well. So this video is kind of going to be like conversational, like I would be talking to a friend about a watch. Now, personally, I've been running a fair amount of ultra marathons. I've done a couple triathlons. I got into mountaineering and actually scuba recently, so I really felt like I needed to get this watch. None of those things I just said are true, though. Actually, I'm not in any of those things. I don't actually even really have a huge desire to get in any of those things. So I'm really just a regular user. A lot of you may know me from obviously outdoor adventures. I do a lot of vehicular-based adventures. We'll get into that a little bit later. And I am a pretty active guy, but I don't nerd out on a lot of those features that the Ultra was kind of geared towards that much. So we're not even gonna be talking about those ones that much. I'm just gonna talk to you about why I think the Apple Watch Ultra is a great choice. Now, apologies, I am about 1 month into this disgusting growth on my face's journey. If you're wondering why, go watch my little beard video that I did a few videos back, but you probably won't have to look at this for too much longer. So when I was watching, because I did a little bit of research before I bought this, and mostly there's like two review type categories: the tech nerd that like doesn't even step foot outside, and then the like legit ultra marathoner. Now both of those categories, dope, no issues with them, but I'm more of like kind of in the middle, like an adventurer. I do go on some hikes, I do some mountain biking, I do some workouts, but I also sit inside a lot, and you know, I kind of like tech, but I'm not super tech head or anything like that. So I'm kind of like somewhere in between, and I'm gonna talk to you like you're somewhere in between as well. And a lot of people are comparing these to like the latest and greatest Garmin watches, and comparing the features. That's not really a comparison for me, because the value that I like out of the Apple Watch, the Ultra specifically this one, are really mostly features that are unique to a smartwatch. Now, not necessarily the Apple Watch, it could be the Samsung or the Pixel Watch or whatever. A lot of those watches will have similar features, but since I'm on an Apple Watch, we'll talk like that. So really more the smart features of the watch, not so much can it compare to the Garmin whatever, because that's more of a single purpose watch, whereas this has a lot of functionality. So most of this video is honestly not even gonna be about the Apple Watch Ultra specifically. It's gonna be about Apple Watches or smartwatches in general. Now, the Apple Watch Ultra is unique and was very appealing to me. I had a Series 6 before this and upgraded to the Ultra because I loved the look, just the industrial look of it. I love the flash screen, I love the bigger screen, I love that it was brighter. I love primarily that it had better battery life, but also there were some other features that made it a little more rugged, such as the IP6X dust resistance rating. I'm in dusty environments all the time, so that's pretty rad to me. The MIL 810 certification, which is really certification for altitude, high and low temperatures, shock resistance, immersion, freeze, thaw, vibration, all that kind of stuff. And I actually do, with the stuff I do, whether that be off-road or camping at 13,000 feet or mountain biking or whatever, all that stuff is pretty important to me. And then we have the night mode, which is kind of cool, though it is only for one watch face, which I don't even use. So I wish they kind of carried that over to other watch faces, but it is a watch face that's unique to the Ultra, and spinning up on the dial, turning it to night mode is something that is unique to the Ultra as well. The action button, which is cool, I use it for a flashlight. I'll get more into that later. And the super accurate GPS, the bigger crown, and then like I mentioned earlier, the most important thing to me, honestly, was the bigger battery, the longer battery life. So all of those features really make the Apple Watch Ultra a pretty unique watch in that it's just a little bit better in almost every way than, you know, the Series 8 or the Series 7 or the Series 6. But again, the 10 points that I'm going to talk about are really largely applicable to all of Apple Watches. Now, the Apple Watch isn't going to replace a computer or a cell phone or an iPad or whatever. There's some stuff, I'll talk about it real quick because it pertains to my channel and my audience, is I do a lot of vehicle-based adventure, and I know I'm gonna get these comments, what apps do you use for that? Do you use this or that? No, there's some out there that, you know, kind of do a little bit of this or that, but I still primarily use my phone, and I use Onyx Offroad. Onyx is a sponsor of the channel, and I use their app really for planning trail type features. So I'll get on a desktop, I'll look at different trails, I'll research routes. I'm actually gonna make a video in the future talking about kind of researching routes. How do you find good camp spots? So I'll get on a desktop computer, scroll around, kind of find an area that I wanna go, either in proximity to my home or some other activity that I wanna do out there. Maybe Ashley really wants to hit a hike somewhere. So I'll find trails in the area, check out their ratings, see some of the reviews and photos, and I'll research that. And then I'll usually mark some waypoints, and then I'll download that map onto my phone. And then from my phone, I will use it to track myself while I'm out on the trail. And as I'm out on the trail, maybe I'll mark new waypoints, take photos, enter descriptions. So that way I can either remember a really good camp spot that I want to get back to later, or, you know, whatever. But none of that is really going to be applicable to the Apple Watch Ultra. I'm just kind of mentioning that because I still primarily use Onyx for my trail type adventure app. It's a question I get asked. Do you use an app? I use Onyx. There's no Onyx app for the watch. So I'm not really going to be talking about any specific like overlanding type features on the watch. I'll just get that out of the way up front because I still do use my desktop or phone for that. Now, all that talking, let's get into the first feature. The first thing is knowledge is power, and time is money, and information is key. So I use this watch face. I'll show it. I'll pull it up on the screen here. And it has stuff that I care about seeing at a glance without needing to dive deeper or whatever. So it has the day, Sunday. It has the date, the 6th. It has the time, obviously, 9:37. Those are the primary things that I'm using my watch for, honestly. Now, I also really like the elevation. So at any given time, I can look at my watch and see the elevation. Now, if I was somewhere like Florida, I probably wouldn't really care because you're pretty much always at sea level. But in Colorado, I'm anywhere from 5,000 feet of elevation up to 13,000, 14,000 feet of elevation. And I live almost at 9,000 feet of elevation. So it's kind of interesting to me knowing, you know, what the oxygen's gonna be like wherever I am, how extreme the weather's going to be, and I just like knowing like, oh, I camped at 12,000 feet tonight. So the elevation is really cool to see. I really am super in tune with the weather forecast. I'm always looking at the weather forecast. Right now I'm building my own house, so it's important that I know what the weather is so I know what I can do that day or this week or what I can try and schedule out or whatever, but also just the day-to-day, the hourly weather forecast, so I know how cold it is. I know if it's going to rain or it's going to snow or whatever. So being able to see that just at a glance on my wrist is super important to me. The other thing I like is the compass. Now you can tap into the compass. You can tap into any of these things and get more important features that are maybe more relevant to you. You can also tap into the weather app, obviously, but tapping into the compass app actually gives you some interesting stuff. Easy enough from there to mark a new waypoint, pull up the backtrack feature, check out your elevation, find your latitude and longitude, stuff like that. But I also just like to know what direction things are. If you're in Denver, it's kind of, you have a natural compass built into the mountains. If you're in Denver, mountains are west. If you're in the mountains like I am, it's not quite as easy. Yeah, you can use the sun, but if it's cloudy or if it's covered or if it's late or if it's early, I like knowing what orientation I'm going to be. This is important for me because if I'm camping or something, I am often trying to set up or find a spot where there's going to be a good sunset or a good sunrise, or I'm going to get good sun exposure just to warm myself up in the morning, or go somewhere that the sun isn't too bright or too hot, you know, have a tree in the way so I can plan shade. So I'm also kind of super dialed into orientation typically, and the watch helps with that. I like knowing the sunset and the sunrise for obvious reasons, knowing how much light we have left, but also if I want to catch those bangers at golden hour, I have a general idea of when that's going to be. And then the battery life. So that's what I like on my face. So you can customize your watch faces. I don't get into any of the fancy, like cool looking ones or whatever. I'm really using this as an information machine. So the next thing is kind of in relation to knowledge and information, and that's you have the entire internet right in the palm of your hands, but really right on your wrist. I do have the cellular model. All Ultras are the cellular model. You don't have to get a cellular plan, but you can. I actually did. This is the first time I added a cellular plan, so I actually don't even need my phone anywhere near me to use Siri. I just need service. But Siri, essentially, I wish it was Google because Google's smarter than Siri, but Siri, you can ask questions, you can run calculations, you can set reminders, you can do all kinds of stuff, send text, all that. I'll get into a little bit more like specifics around what you can do with your voice on your watch, but basically, number 2 is you have the internet at your disposal. You have a supercomputer that has access to everything that you can just ask questions to on your wrist. Like, you don't even need a computer, you don't need your phone, you just need this little guy right here, and you can ask what temperature it is in Brazil right now. Like stuff like that, which, you know, that one is kind of random, but having that ability on your wrist is just insane. Now, number 3, communication. Communication is key. I primarily use my watch and my phone for communication, whether that's sending texts or making calls or writing emails or whatever. Kind of you can do that. I don't really write emails on my phone pretty much ever, but I text a ton. I don't like typing on a phone. I'd rather type on a computer. So I text either usually from my iPad with a keyboard or from my watch. I try to. Sometimes I'll text on my phone. And then phone calls, you can just take right on your watch. Like again, I have the cellular plan, so I don't even need my phone with me. So a lot of times, actually recently, again, I've been building my house, I'll be like up, hands tied up on a rafter or whatever, get a call from Ashley and she has a question about something, or get a call from a random number and it's someone trying to deliver doors to my house or whatever, and it's hard to get to my phone. And I've taken so many calls now just right on my watch that is a super cool feature. So communication is awesome on the watch. And actually, I drive my Tundra primarily, and it has wireless Apple CarPlay, and CarPlay is great for a lot of stuff, but I would rather send a text on my watch than work through the microphone and everything on my truck. It just doesn't seem to pick up quite as well. So if I'm driving, I don't want to text on my phone, obviously, but sometimes I will text. Ashley will text me, I'll see it, and then I'll send her a reply, and I will just vocalize that reply, and it goes voice to text, which is really good on this thing. And I will usually text from my watch while I'm driving rather than trying to use Apple CarPlay. But yeah, communication, super handy on this little tool on your wrist. So the number 4th reason, this is a big one for me, honestly. So, and this is coming from someone who is like I am a professional social media guy. Maybe that's my technical title. But having these functions on my wrist, on my watch, means that I don't have to use my phone as much. I hate being on my phone. I hate social media for the most part. I really love YouTube. I think YouTube is one of the best creations. I'm basically building a house off of YouTube. I fix cars off of YouTube. I do all this stuff from YouTube University. So I think YouTube is the best thing ever, and I still use my phone obviously for YouTube. But I think like TikTok is just rotting your brain. It's gonna be the downfall of society. Snapchat, I don't even use it, it's stupid. Instagram's turning that way as well. Instagram used to be kind of rad, now it kind of sucks because Reels, I think, are so dumb. And that is just, Reels, TikTok, all that stuff is gonna be the downfall of society. So the less phone time you can have, the better, in my opinion. I mean, obviously there's a lot of good things you can do on your phone as well, but most of the stuff that I'm doing on my phone these days, I can just do on my watch. So if I have this on my wrist, I'm not encouraged to send a text on my phone, and while I'm on my phone, I'm like, oh yeah, I might as well check, what's going on Instagram or whatever. I don't even do that because I don't have my phone on me. I just have my watch. So less screen time on my phone is a huge benefit of just having the screen that does a lot of what I need to do right on my wrist. But the cool thing, little random feature check, is that you can use your watch to find your phone. So if you've misplaced your phone or whatever, you can just find it. You can set a chime on it from your watch. You can find all kinds of other devices as well from your watch. So that's a cool feature if you do need to get back on your phone for one reason or another. So another big one for me is productivity. So how does a watch help you be more productive? Well, I mean, kind of from the previous point, less phone screen time allows more time to be productive on other stuff. But also I'm a huge proponent of setting reminders and actually having I have an ongoing to-do list. I use an app that nobody uses. I've been using it forever. It's called Google Keep. And it came from the old days where I was kind of using Google devices, but I was kind of transitioning to Apple, but I also use my desktop a lot. And it was one of the few kind of note-taking apps that sync to the cloud, and I could use it on every device. And I've just been using it ever since. So I still use Google Keep. Google Keep does have an app for the smartwatch. It's not that great of an app. I'm not necessarily recommending it. It's just the one I use. So it's basically you can make a bunch of different lists, and I have an ongoing to-do list. It's way too long, but I can drag and drop and change priorities of things. And then sometimes I'll be in there and I'll be thinking of like video ideas or stuff I need to research for the house or things I really need to get done. And I'll put those in my Google Keep big notes ongoing to-do list, but it's also just like general note things. Sometimes I'll think of ideas for products that I want to develop one day, or a little this or that, or a trail I really want to check out, and I'll just keep that in my big dump file. And I'll just go through that multiple times throughout the day and kind of reorganize things and add and delete, check things off as I do them. So I'm not really talking about that with the watch, but there's other things that I need to do that are time sensitive. If I'm on the job site and I'm like not at a computer, I'm up, on a rafter or whatever, and I think, oh man, I really need to order more nails or whatever. I really need to make sure that that trim is on schedule. I will set myself a reminder, and I'll do it from my phone. And I set time-sensitive reminders, and it's just something that's built into iOS. So I'll say, hey Siri, sorry, I'll give it a second. 8 p.m. Cancel. But I'll usually press the button on the watch and say, set a reminder, or not even set a reminder. I just say, remind me tonight at 7 p.m. to check on that Home Depot delivery. And I'll do that all the time. So at any given time, I have like 15 different reminders that are coming up. So the watch really helps me kind of keep on track because I don't need to pull out a phone or jot something down or do anything. I'm just like, oh, I got to do a thing. Remind me at 8 p.m. to do the thing. And so it really is helpful for productivity. So another super important thing for most Apple users, but I kind of find that it's mostly people that just got an Apple Watch for the first time or whatever, and that's like fitness and activity tracking. There's like a ring system that's like tracks your steps and your movement and standing up and whatever. And when I got my first Apple Watch, I was really, oh, close all my rings. And some people are still into that, which is great. It's a positive thing for you. Now I don't care. I don't look at it. It's not there. If somebody asks me how many steps I do, maybe I'll pull it up and check it out. But I don't have it on my watch face or anything. I don't really care. I used to really track my workouts as well. Like anytime I lifted or went on a bike ride or have a Peloton, I will still use it on my Peloton actually, just because it kind of integrates really well and it shows up on the screen. But I don't care as much anymore. So I don't really use those features. But there are some things in kind of the health, fitness, safety category that are still, I think, pretty cool. It has a really, really good sleep tracker. I was into tracking my sleep kind of again early on. They recently released an update that gave way more, tracked your REM and your awake and your deep and whatever. And I watched a video from some scientist about how accurate it was compared to all these, and that was cool. And I was kind of into that for a bit. And the battery life on this thing is so good that I actually do use that feature, and I will check out my sleep. If I got bad sleep, I know I got bad sleep. And if I got good sleep, I feel like I know that I had good sleep as well. So it's one of those things that if you want to nerd out on, you can. I find most of that stuff doesn't really matter, doesn't really apply to me, but if you nerd out on it, that is cool and it has that functionality. It does also have your blood oxygen level you can track. It has temperature tracking, which doesn't really apply too much to me. They may do stuff with it in the future, but for now it's kind of like a cycle tracking and ovulation tracking for women. That's kind of cool. There is some safety stuff built in, so fall and crash detection that can auto dial 911 or whatever. You can long press a button for an SOS type feature. Those are really cool because again, it's something that you always have on you. Chances are if you slip and fall and you break your back and you don't have your phone on you, you're pretty hosed. But you're probably gonna have your watch on you. So for kind of the safety feature there, it is really pretty cool what you can do on your watch. And if you're kind of, again, if you're into nerding out and tracking all that kind of stuff, it has an ECG, it has a lot of stuff on here. You do meditation and breathing and everything. You can make sure you're in your perfect heart zone rate for training for that ultra marathon. You can do all that on the watch. I don't use most of those features anymore, but the fact that they're there probably will apply, and appeal to a lot of you guys. Now, number 7 kind of ties into fitness and safety in a sense, but there's a really cool feature on here. It's called Backtrack, and you can also set waypoints. But basically, Backtrack kind of works as far as I understand it. I haven't actually used the feature yet, my bad. But if you're going on a hike and you could potentially get lost or whatever, Backtrack, you can either launch it manually, I believe. Again, haven't even used it. But it auto launches, it auto starts tracking your GPS basically in increments when it detects that you're going away, you're going out there. You're going, and especially if you're kind of going out of reception, it'll automatically kick on this Backtrack feature. So you're going on a hike and you're just like, I'm just going on a regular lovely stroll through the mountains, and then all of a sudden you're lost. And you're like, I'm lost, crap, I have no service, I don't know, I'm so unprepared. Be prepared, watch my channel, get more prepared. But if you aren't prepared, your watch will kind of be prepared for you. And you can launch it, and then you can it will basically leave you breadcrumb trails that you can follow to get back to wherever it, started backtracking. And by then, hopefully you're near your car or whatever. So that's a really cool feature. And another feature, Apple Wallet. So this is like especially pertinent if you have cellular. And I've actually used this feature quite a bit myself because sometimes I'll run into the store. I usually have my phone on me, but usually I'll have it just in my car, either on a charger or whatever, and I'll go in the store and oftentimes will forget my phone. It happens like pretty frequently, and usually I'll have my wallet in my pocket so I can still pay for stuff, but I like to use Apple Pay. I like to use it all the time, as often as I can. It's super quick, it's handy. The whole wallet functionality in here is really nice, just in the iOS ecosystem. I have the Apple Card actually, and it's super, I don't know, they just did it really, really well. So why it's nice though is that you can just go somewhere. Maybe you're out on a run or you're doing something, you have nothing on you. You're on a mountain bike in the middle of the night, you have nothing, no wallet, no phone, nothing. But you have cellular, and there's a little snack station that accepts Apple Pay. Boom, you could get it, buy it at the Starbucks on the top of a mountain. You can pull up your Starbucks reward and scan it right here on your watch. So super handy feature. Now, number 9, a flashlight. This was kind of gimmicky on the last one. I didn't even use it really on the last watch, but this one has the action button in orange. Well, let's get some focus. Can we get it? Can we get it? No, not really. Action button. So I was kind of like, man, what should I don't really care about precise workout tracking. I don't care to add waypoints all the time. I'm just gonna have to delete those and clean those up later. What can I use this for? So I mapped it to the flashlight. And I was like, kind of gimmicky. I'm always EDCing a flashlight. I got lights all over my truck. I got lights in my truck. My cell phone has a flashlight as well. I was like, I probably will never use this. I use it a surprising amount, actually, because I'll be walking around, at nighttime after I take a shower. Ashley's in bed, lights are out, pants are off. I don't have a flashlight on me, but I'm like, I got to find something in a drawer, but I don't want to flip the light on. I don't want to wake Ashley up. Flashlight on the watch. So I'm using this actually all the time now just to kind of navigate myself around at night or find something without disturbing anyone else or flipping a light on or grabbing a flash. I have flashlights everywhere, honestly, but using it quite a bit. And I've actually been using it out camping, like in my tent in the middle of the night. I'll be getting up there and I'll be kind of situating all my stuff and I'll be like, where's my pee bottle, right? It's the middle of the night, I gotta pee. And then I'm just like, boom, turn it on, oh, flashlight. And you can also switch it to a little strobe guy or a red light as well. But I'll just use the normal one pretty much all the time. So having that on just a hotkey has been, I mean, way more handy than I ever thought it would, especially for a guy like me that literally carries a flashlight in my pocket every day. I'm still using this quite a bit. Now for the 10th and final reason, it is, honestly, it is just cool. I buy a lot of cool gadgets and a lot of cool gear. I have sweet camera gear and truck gear and this and that and guns and knives and flashlight, all the cool gear in the world. I have a brand new phone. I don't even need an iPhone 14 Pro. Well, I talk about it in other videos actually. Ashley cares less about the phone, and then Isabella cares even less. So I upgrade every year because I actually use my phone for filming and photos and everything, and then I hand down the previous generation. So I get a new phone every year. It's dumb. I hate it. I don't like consumerism. Whatever, but got the new phone, wasn't excited about it pretty much at all. Got the new watch, and it's probably, I've been more excited about this than anything else. I'll just look at it. And I don't know if you're like me, I don't get this with every new piece of gear I get, but sometimes I'll get a really nice new knife or whatever, or a new axe actually. When I got my first Grand Furs Brooks, I just like carried it around. I was just like, you know, you have it, and I might be weird, but I'll take it around, I'll set it next to me at the computer and just kind of look at it, touch it, fondle it. I'll take it, I'll be brushing my teeth. I'll set it on the sink next to me, a brand new, maybe a Benchmade or whatever, new knife, new multi-tool. I'll just like carry it around. I'll bring it to bed. I'll like sleep with my Grand Furs next to me. I don't anymore, but like when it's a new piece of gear, I do. I haven't gotten that way for tech in a while. But this watch I did. I'll take it off to shower. You don't need to take it off to shower, but I usually take it off to shower, and then it's sitting there and I just look at it and I'm like looking at it, I'm just like, man, this is such a cool piece of tech. So that's just, it has some coolness to it, some cool factor. And I know I'm not alone in this because I've seen other reviewers talk about how it's like their favorite piece of tech for the year, like tech reviewers who are just getting all kinds of tech. Like this is their favorite, and they can't really explain it. Maybe it's just the look. Maybe I don't know what it is about it. It's just cool. So yeah, if you've been on the fence to get one or whatever, you've been kind of curious about them, you've just seen me with it and wondered what my thoughts were, there's my thoughts. I hope they help you out. I'm not a tech reviewer. This isn't a tech channel. This is not a normal thing for me, but hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, thumbs up it. Leave me a comment down below. If you're new here, if you're new to the channel and you just randomly bumped into me because of the Apple Watch Ultra, hit that subscribe button. I do a lot of really cool stuff that you should be into if you just want to live a really awesome life. So check out some of my other videos. Let me know if there's other stuff you want me to review. I do like tech. I'm not a tech review channel, so I don't do it that often. So that's why this was probably the most different Apple Watch video, maybe boring one that you've ever watched. But thanks for watching till the end. And I think that's it for now. So until next time, guys, take care.